It says, so we're on a place where it says Birchus Hashkivenu, and now it starts like this. Va'ata nevoyer. I guess I'll read the bottom, and we'll just read across the bottom. It says, now nevoyer Birchus Hashkivenu. Maski nevoyer nusach Birchus Hashkivenu. He said, Obebracha zu nir mezuch b'shneki zivugim and na'asa b'layla. Now, these are all things that I try to remember. Shnei zivugim that happen at nighttime. Ha'echad hu l'zigad the yisod v'nuk. One is the yisod of Zer Anpin with the nuk. Hana'asa kodem l'tzos. So that's the yichud that takes place before midnight. B'chasheni is the zivug the Yaakov Aleah. Hana'asa b'chatzis halayla, which actually takes place at, he says, at midnight. Hine zivug zecha v'shkiva zu. So this is yichud. It's lashon shkiva. He ein bara bezivug l'tzorach hamalachim. This is not a zivug for that. V'chein nikro avinu. So hashkivenu avinu. I'm not sure I understood that, but we'll read on. Ki hu l'tzorach nishmasenu hatachtonim. It's because this yichud that's taking place before midnight is for the tzorach nishmasenu tachtonim of us. B'techilas habracha. Nirmaz hazivug the kodem etzos alayla shebemenu noitrim neshamot b'nei Adam the bria. Okay, all of that. We're in Olam HaBria. That's the concept of neshama. I'm just trying to think through it a little bit. I'm a little bit trying to get into this. The neshama goes with bina. Bina goes with bria. So here we go with the idea of neshama. Neshama of neshama. Shebemenu noitzim neshamas b'nei Adam debria. V'alkein ne'emer ba hashkivenu avinu. What's avinu mean? V'chein hu hanusach al pi Arizal. Levi shemezivug han'azach b'azach b'noitzim neshamas b'nei Yisrael. There you hear the creation of the neshamas of the Jewish people. So that levi shemezivug han'azach ata, and I said before midnight. That's where the neshamas come from. For this reason, misyachsim anim b'nei Yisrael, the fruit of the partzufi zun ka'avino yotzreinu. So once again, he said, v'lechein misyachsim anu b'nei Yisrael, we are related to the partzufi zun, of the two partzufim azachar v'nok, ma'avino yotzreinu. Now, exactly what that means, but I'll keep going. Therefore we add in the word l'shalom also l'shalom shuhu hayisod. Kevin shachazigav the birchos hashkivenu hu al yedecha yisod the zer anpen hayored the olam HaBria, which goes down into the bria, as we have learned the kach mazkirim v'oimrim l'shalom, so that we say this too, which is a representation al shema yisod and nikra shalom kanoida. Ugeneged mashach b'chadushuhu achar atzos. So now that's that. So I'm a little bit confused about it, of how it worked out. Hashkivenu is a lashon zigud. Avinu, I forget what is avinu. V'chelkei ne'emer bo hashkivenu avinu. The fiyan shezivug na'asa ata notzrim the shamat b'nei Yisrael. So what's the avinu part got to do with that? B'nei Yisrael, the parts of vizun avinu yotzreinu, like a father who created us like that. Okay, that's it. So he says, so this is more than nusach. Ki hatiferes atzma hu hamizgalo mizdavek, is that's actually here. This is a different one where you're actually having not just the yisod of Zer Anpin, or the yisod of Tiferes, but also you're getting the whole Tiferes and mizavek im hanekeva. That's where the yichud takes place within the keva. The maybe so it brings along with it an extension of the, what do you mean by Chayabina, Hanikra Chayim Tovim, which is called Chayim Tovim. So a little explanation needed there. Okay, the Yisod Amal the Shalom. Now what we said once again when we talk about the Yisod, it's talk about Shalom. Nimsaki L'Chayim Tovim L'Shalom. We had this phrase. Hem HaTiferes v'Chayisod. This is referring to Tiferes and Yisod. V'Lefi Shechazivuk Hazecha B'Chul L'Tzorach Brias Neshamas Malachim. Because now we know we're in a different level. And what it means to create the neshamas and malachim, I really don't know. You're really talking about, let's say, malachim at the level of Zeranpen, or of Tiferes itself, because malachim, that's where the malachim are found in Olam Yetzirah, which goes along with Tiferes. So just trying to speculate, trying to understand where if I could find a root for this. So Techein Arma Malkenu, so therefore we say Malkenu. Ki Ein Melech Bilti Chaylos Shehem Malachim, which are the Malachim. So again, it's a little tricky in the metaphor. I don't quite have it here. V'an she'achar chatzos, says since that after midnight, hu zaman chakima min hamita. He says after midnight is the time you get up from the bed. Amar v'amidenu, and that's where it says, or then maybe that's our desire to get up from the bed. He says Amar v'amidenu, and stand us up. So he says, and let's see if we can understand a little bit better for the Tiv. He says, Mi'teves v'hamidenu v'lecholon. So from those words, and then going on further, Nirmas hazig v'na'asa achar hatzos, there's a reference over there to that yichud. Now, how is this going? B'leilos yimei hachol. Now, of course, we're talking about weekdays. Shuhu zivug the Yaakov V'Leah B'Kol Kuma Zer Anpen, which is the yichud. They have grown to the entire side. That is, Yaakov Avinu has taken up that space, the entire space, and making a yichud with Leah, the whole height of Zer Anpen. Sha'az hazivog hu im Yaakov Atzmo. So Atzmo v'koru lo Zer Anpen kanal, who is the Zer Anpen v'hu b'bechinas Tiferes. Now, all of this is a little bit confusing because you have so many different words. There is a Yaakov that is from the Chazal Lamata Zer Anpen, but he says the Yaakov we talk about here is Zer Anpen. I think that's what he said. He says Sha'az hazivog hu im Yaakov Atzmo, but they call him, he says, Zer Anpen kanal. Tiferes, and Zer Anpen is also known as Tiferes. That since after midnight we're coming here. Hukuvar Zaman Kima, it's already time to get up. So that's questionable. It's not the time that we get up, but he says this is a time that that's why I said you should get up then. So then he says that, stand me up. The mizivah noitzrim neshamas of malachim, and that's the key here. It's making neshamas for the malachim, the bria kanizker. Now, I never really thought about malachim. I don't know too much about malachim. I know some words here and there, but here he's saying there are neshamas to malachim, and these are created during the weekday after midnight. So he says malkenu. So then he says the next word. He says amidenu malkenu. He says, so who's the melech? Zer Anpen. I'm thinking. That is Yaakov. So he said, during the yichud, mochim come into Zer Anpen. So corresponding to the shefa of the mochim that's coming out of Bima. Why? Shashefach hanishba bebina nikra chaim is called chaim. V'keben shechazivuk ne'aza al yedecha yisod, and the yisod is called what? Keneged zeh ne'emer b'lashalom. Therefore we add that word. So I thought he was going to darshan tovim, but he didn't. So he skipped tovim. I guess it meant l'chaim tovim because the chaim, whatever comes out of bina, is good. So he says, I guess it would say that maybe. He says the Yisod Keneged Zeh Ne'emer L'Shalom, so then we have this word L'Shalom, which refers to Yisod. Shefa Shekibel Zer Anpen V'Chabina, over B'derek Yisod El Nook, it winds up going through his Yisod into the Nook for the Zer Anpen. Okay, so now I think we got to a new place. Let's see. So that's a question about so the pshat. I'm thinking about the neshamas of malachim. Exactly what does that mean? It's relevant to malchus. That is, what is the relationship there between the neshamos that are created before midnight, which are the neshamas of people, the Jewish people, or the neshamas that are created after midnight, which in the neshamot of malachim, which is a deeper level, but exactly what the collection is remains to be seen, I think. So let's go to now this other thing. We have Hakdama here. The Hakdama Hamshachas Hamochin the Birchos Avos the Aravis. So he said. So once again, these different Yehudim, Hazivag Naasa B'Tefilas Arvis, who Hazivag Yaakov V'Leah. That's what it's called. He said, "Before the command, we're going to get to Chatham Shnaasa Ka'es Zivug Yaakov V'Leah V'Lo Zivug Yaakov V'Rachel Kabeshachris, because that's what happened. Shachris who Machmas Shebe'es at this time named Shachim Rach Mochin Devak the Ima that are Tavuna. Let's call Ima. When he says Tavina, we mean Tavuna. Uvak the Abba, which is also known as Yasef. So, but we use Abba Ba'ima to mean that Yisrael Saba Tavuna is actually the transferring aspect of Abba Ba'ima Elohim. So he said B'Shachris, not like in Shachris time. Shenim Shachim Kol Mochim the Abba Ba'ima, where you get all of the Mochin, including the Garda Shalahem. So therefore, so therefore it's not possible here to have a yichud between Yaakov and Rachel. So you don't have all of the components. The Bir of Shas, now the Shas explains like this. Shekol zehu be'inyan chazaras hamokim shalakelim abenimium shenimshku kuvar b'shachris. Let me just read this again. He says all of this is talking about chazaras hamochim. The mochin are coming back of the cave that go into the kalim abenimium shenimshku kuvar b'shachris that already came once before in Shachris time. The nistalkul la'achar mekan, and then they left after that. In other words, the mochin come in at Shachris time, but then after that they leave. V'chazur v'shenis b'mincha, and they come back a second time at mincha time. B'chim b'nistalkul shuv la'achar mincha. Now we're talking about Marav. He says ado hozecha lehimshech b'shlish. This is another time. They're coming back another time. Ela Shado Nimshachim called the Mochen B'Shachris, but all of them don't come down like the Mochen B'Shachris, Ela Rak Mikzasim, only some of them, which is the Vok, I guess is what he's talking about. So V'heim Eim Avok the Ima, V'Avok the Abba, that's all that comes down at this time. I guess you have to realize we're going into Marav, that's what's going on there, is that you're getting Mochen the godless, but they're only the Vok and the Mochen the godless. So he says, now let's go over it again. So he said, Havak the Ima, Havak the Abba. Then he says, Havak the Ima now. He says, Nimshachim b'Kriya Shema. When you say Kriya Shema, just like you have also in the morning, you get Nimshachim, then you get the Zat over there, calls it the Zat of Ima comes in. But you have to wait for the Vok of Abba to come in at the Shmona Esrei. Avir Inyan Vok the Mochin Hu. So now let me explain this, he says. The Mochim come into their anpen clothed in the Nai of Yisrael Sabbat Tavuna. So then when you look at the Nai, each one of them, I think it's a machlokas on Yesod, whether it's 3 or 2, but here he says each one of them divided into 3 parts. And it actually flows down, or it spreads, down into the 3 lines of Zer Anpin. Tlas Pirkim Netzach, Bekav Yam and the Chachan, Betlas Pirkim the Hod, Bekav Small Baga, Betlas Pirkim the Yesod, Bekav Emsoy is Dati. So at Nimsa, Hatlas Pirkim the Nahi the Yasos, Heim Kodem Shlish, Kuma Shlisha Shal Mochim. That's the Tzadid Tzelem. That's the Tzadid Tzelem that's coming into Zer Anpin. Tlas Pirkim Elyonim Heim Hagar, so the 3 Pirkim that go along with the Gar. V'Hashisha Pirkim Titayim, which are the Vak. But what we're talking about here, this is what we're talking about. V'Ke'ez, V'Arvis, Niknasim, Rak Hamochin, Shabishnei Pirkim, the Tavuna. So only you're getting the Tavuna Dikaside, V'Chem, Mispashtim, B'Chabad, V'Chagat Dezah, they're only coming into there. Let me just see if there's shame, and they call him Vak the Yasos, or Vak the Tavuna. All right, forget, left out Yasos, I thought. Okay, so now we have an idea where we're holding here. And at nighttime, all you're getting, they're only going into what? Into the Rosh and the upper part of the Guf of Zeranpin. It takes the final part, which is not coming in, which is the Gar, to push everything down into the ultimate balance. So I guess you're looking at something which is slightly top heavy. I don't know what that means, but well, let's go on. So it says Ve'inyan. So let's go Ve'inyan Birchus Avos Shel Hamida Shemat Memorizal. He said. He says heard from the Rav. 1 second. Let me try to get something underneath this. I don't have anything handy. Okay, never mind. He says Shemati Memorizal. But Atzilus, that it's talking about Atzilus. Says, what does he mean? Kavanas Birchus Avos V'Arvis Hu B'Atzilus. So the Kavana over there really has to do with Atzilus. No, okay, so you're in Atzilus. V'Hainu Sha'achar Shena'asach B'Tika B'Birchus Akriya Shema. So after you made a tikkun over there, in the Birchus Akriya Shema, B'Heichalos Abriya, Olam Misham Na'atzilus, then they go up into Atzilus B'Sham Na'asach Tikkun B'Tefilas Amida, and that's where the tikkun takes place, when you get to the Shemona Esrei. Mamash al derek hakavanas the shachris. It's just exactly like that. Birchos yotzer heim behechelos the bria. So that just like over there, you're dealing with in the time of yotzer, which is kriya shema, in the morning. You're dealing with the olam abriya. With the tefilas amida, olam latzilus, everything begins more masukan, and it's able to rise up to atzilus. But the kaven, so he says like this, but the kaven ba, you had this kavana, ki hine bekriya shema shel arvis, niknesu vok, the mochin the garlos, the mitzad ima kanisker the el, ba'ata bebirchus avos, but now when we come to birchus avos, niknesu vok, the mochin the garlos, so we have the vok, the mochin the garlos, the mitzad abba coming in. So ima is in the kriya shema area, and Abba is in the Shemona Esrei area. Abba v'gar, the mochin, the godless. Be mitzad Abba, be mitzad Ima. Ain't a niknasim klal, but the filas arbis. So now the tiv. The tiv's writes for us. He said, B'kriya Shema the Arabis. Let me just take a quick look. I think there's something about the guard, the mochin, the godless. Okay, so we'll read on a little bit more, but I think I want to go back to this Shefa maybe, see what his question is. He said, B'kriya Shema the Arvis, Nimshachim avok the mochin the bitzad ima tavuna, which we said, the B'birchos avos meguvana the hamshak is avok the mochin the bitzad abba. I guess I read that already. Lo nimshachim ke'ez the mochin the gar lo the abba lo the ima. V'hinech ava afal pi shel el. Bebirchus avos the shachris biarnu. What do we say over there? Ki ain't havok the mochin the abba v'niknasim ad shebekol ad shekavar nigro the konis gar the mochin the ima. So he said once again. So we'll read it, but he says that the Pirish bebirchus avos the shachris biarnu ki ain't havok the mochin the abba does not come in until you get the gar and the mochin of ima coming in. Over here, there is no gar of ima coming in. What's the problem? The Chayra Kasha, it's a problem here. The Chochlam Bavur La'el, Bidrash Amida, Shehi Eshe La'amochin La'abach of Afilo Havok Shalachem L'Hikonis L'Zah. It's impossible for them to go into Zah at all. But Terem before, Niknasim Kol L'Mochin L'Ima Kolel Hagar Shalachem. You have to have the entire gar in as well. V'im came eich amridan hocho. So then, how do we say over here? V'niknasim havok the mochin that enter in the vok of the mochin the imo but kriya shema comes in at kriya shema. V'chavok the mochin the abba b'tefillah and the vok of the mochin the abba come in tefillah. V'lo kol od shalocha niknasach of a gar, but they didn't come in the gar yet. So what are you saying? Is the mochin the ima, nothing can come in. But he says no, they didn't come in. Lo nimshachim b'vad the mochin the abba. Then you couldn't get the vok the abba because we've already learned that it doesn't work that way. So coming over here, we saw a little bit more. But let's see if let me just pick up before he gets to his answer. Let me see if there's something over here in the Shefa. I didn't really mark it, but looks like it might be something. He said, "V'vagad the mochen the gadlos bein b'tzad abba bein b'tzad ima eno neknasim klal b'tefilas arvis." That the Shittas of Rishash, according to the way the Rishash reads this, Kol Hashinoya Omor Khan, all the Shin that we're talking about here, B'cham Shachas Amochem Ben B'Tefilas Shachris the Arvis, Sheba Arvis, he says Niknasim Rak the Vok the Mochen the B'tzad Ima U'Mitzad Abba. He says V'Lechein Ein Zivuk the Yaakov Arachel Rak B'Yaakov of Aleah. So he says that therefore, since that's what's happening, you can't have a yichud with Rachel, I guess, because you need the whole gar. You need the whole, they have to be complete. Who rak klape hamochen the kelim apenimim. So this is where I just want to read this right. I didn't highlight it because I don't know too much about it. He says that yichud that we're talking about here, the yichud I think he means of Yaakov and Rachel. He says who rak klape hamochen the kelim apenimim hachozim the kones mixasim b'tefilas arvis. Now I guess I got it wrong. It says the yichud of Yaakov and Leah. And it's only because of mochim the kelim b'benimim, which are now chozrim the ikones b'miksasim, at least some of them at the tefilas arvis, which is the vok, I guess, of those mochim. Avach the mochim and imshachin the kelim and kitzonim, but the mochim that come to the outsides of the kelim, the Yaakov or Rachel, which comes from Yaakov and Rachel. He says, where are we here? He says, Zman zivugim, because now we're talking about the time that they're supposed to make a yichud, nimshachem b'shteimusim, they come in complete. Mamish, b'seidacham shachas hamochim, the tefilas shachris, just like in the tefilas shachris. So he says the outside apparently does get, there is, this is hard for me because I never got introduced to it exactly. But he's saying that, let me see, he said, that there is an inside mochin and there's an outside mochin. In terms of the inside mochin, which is the penimius, you're really only getting the vok and the vok. But on the outside, I think that's what he said, on the outside mochin, or the outside, I don't know how inside outside works really. He says it's the same thing. He says there though, you're getting all the gar, the whole thing, and a yichud does take place with Rachel. Now, exactly the implication of that, I don't know. Okay, so anyway, that's why I read it. So let's go over here, and I'm getting close to where I'm out of what I did. So let's hear the answer. V'chatam hu ki sham over there. Kevin she'asidin the kones, they are going to come in. He said, so therefore all the mochin of ima come in at the same time. Because ultimately, the situation is all of the mochin, that is the gar and the vok, are all going to come in. But this is a different situation. It's a situation where the gar of ima is not coming in at all. Even though the gar has not come in, the whole ima has not come in, even though, because this is a different time. It's interesting, astrologically, or whatever you want to look at it, is that nighttime is not daytime. So therefore, nighttime, you're going to have further restrictions of the light. And it's only going to be in the darkness, it's just a vok. So, Miyashiv Rab the Kand of V'chan Yecholam Lahemshech, Hamochen the vok the Abba, Afilu she'ein neknas in the gar de ima, even if the gar de ima does not come in. So that's what we said. The kol haklal, the klal that we are talking about, she'ein neknas in the mochen the Abba kodem nekneses a gar de ima. Zehu rak keshech gar de ima asidin the konet b'tefilazu. So that's the time for everything to come up, because it's the time of the beautiful morning light. Bezeru hamrinim the answer Shiyakdima Hamamochen the Abba the Konek Kodek and this is a gar de ima. But in a way that where are we? That the gar de ima kolo klau lo asid in the hemshech la hamshech ata, because it's a different time. Kamo ke'es, like now, but the filas arvis ein mania lamochin the Abba the kones. There's nothing to hold it back, and that's really all I got right now. If you want, we have a few minutes. I mean, I would be laning it for the first time. So let's take a look at number Nun Daled. We have a couple of minutes. He said, Nun Daled says like this. Nimsa ki yesh shinui bein birchos avad the chakras and bein birchos avad the arvis. Mitzar kavana acheres. So therefore, when you come to them, you have to have a different kavana. Bebirchas Avos the Arvis Shalo al Derek Osach the Shakris and I'll be the same thing. But Dayam lo Zechisi the Shmua Mipi Morizal. But I still the answer to this. But it seems like he gave the answer. It seems like, let's see what the Tiv says. Kevin Shei Shini Behamshachas and Mochin Bebein Birchas Avos the Shakris the Birchas Avos the Arvis. Yesh the Kabe Bebirchas Avos the Ramidis Seder Kavanas Shoner med the Shakris. Well, at least personally, your kavana would certainly be different. Ella the marchul lo zachal the shmochel merabah rizal, as so the kavana the birchus avos the arvis. He didn't really get into that with him, or he didn't hear it. So he says he did not hear it, and he says the arvis. And here we are. So he says. So wait a minute. I'm in the shefa now. I'm supposed to be in the tiv. Okay, I guess that was a period down there. That's it. That's it for today, Rebbe. I just don't have too much more to go. Thank you so much for learning with me.